Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon for some of you. Welcome to another webinar in the Full Compass Full Access webinar series. My name is Jim Ripp. I'm the presenter today. Let me bring up my camera here. You can see what I look like. Yes, I look exactly like that picture. Today, in this series, we bring you the industry experts to talk about the subjects that you ask us about. And one of the hot subjects is always new products. And we have a brand new product out from Shure, which we're very excited to talk about. Just an excellent. I'm actually using it today, so all three of us are using that. But first things first, we need to get some housekeeping things out of the way here. We have a question feature for you folks that are watching live. If you want to type in a question to the guys and present that to them, I will be presenting that to them throughout the presentation. We have a recording of the webinar as well, so if you have to duck out halfway through, that's fine. You will receive, those of you that are registered, you will receive a copy of the video, a link to the video, and it will also go up to our YouTube channel, and you can share with friends if you think somebody else would like to see that as well. And then, as always, we have a very, very short survey at the end. We ask you to fill out, and that is where you tell us what subjects you want to learn about. So let's take a look at this bios here. Shawn and Travis, both from Audio Biz, are joining us today. There's Shawn. Travis is coming up soon. There he is. Hey guys, how you doing?
How's it going?
Awesome.
Good. Shawn, I've gone over in the last two webinars. This will be your third in a row with us. I'm not going to talk about you today at all.
That's fine. We're
going to talk about Travis. So Travis, I'm going to poke at a few things here in your bio, just to get you know you a little bit. It says you graduated from Columbia College in Chicago. What did you study there?
I actually studied audio production and music business because I was in a band and I wanted to. I actually went to college as a hobby, just to pretend I was doing something with my life, and those were the two things that fit into the musician's mindset at that moment.
Awesome. And then it says you were a touring artist, or you toured with the Warped tour, and not everybody knows what that is, but that was I think the #1 rock touring show. Wasn't it in the world or just the United States?
Well, the Vans Warped Tour was big. I don't know where it ranked amongst all the other festivals, but it was definitely a legendary thing to be a part of, as far as all the punk bands and rock bands that were a part of that. And we were lucky enough to have participated in it and traveled with it, and it was an amazing experience. And unfortunately, they've discontinued the Vans Warped Tour, but we had some wild times, some long drives, some hot summers, and met a lot of cool people, bands, and it was a great experience.
Oh, I bet. And talk about learning about gear or hands-on in situations like that, and stuff going wrong, and having to quickly turn it around and solve issues. That's awesome. That's where you get, my opinion, the most of your experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So Shawn, we can talk about you a little bit, I guess, right?
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
I'm not as cool as Travis, I didn't get to, perform on the Warped Tour or anything like that, but I did attend the Warped Tour many a time, so.
Yeah, I see that Travis, Shawn didn't give you the memo that you need to show up with a beard, but you got a little one started there.
I keep it tight. I keep it close.
All right. All right, so Shawn, I'm going to turn over the presentership to you. Let's dig into this new product, the MV7 from Shure. And again, you guys out there, as your questions pop into your head, go ahead and type those into the questions feature, and I will present those to Shawn and Travis throughout the show.
All right, I should be sharing my screen right now.
It looks good.
Like we are.
Yep.
All right, awesome. Well, first off, I'm actually going to play a little bit of an unboxing video. So we are talking about the Shure MV7. And this is the newest mic that Shure just released, kind of specifically for this content creation, podcasting market. The cool thing you'll notice today, myself, Travis, and Jim are all talking through MV7 microphones. So thank you, Jim, for making that happen on your end. That's quite awesome. I like the product placement in the back, but we're going to kind of go over the details of what this mic is. And it's a really cool new microphone at a really affordable price point for all you content creators that are out there. So
Yeah.
I'm actually going to turn this over to Travis to talk a little bit about kind of some of the legacy and the history of what this microphone is.
Sure. So, as content creators, as broadcasters, podcasters, gamers, recording artists, historically, we've all aspired to have this guy. So the Shure SM7B. So this mic is legendary. It's the thriller mic. It's in recording studios everywhere, and it's become wildly popular again for podcasters. But the SM7B, comes with a specific price tag, and you're also going to need a couple of other accessories in order to really get the microphone to behave the way you want to. So you might need something like a cloud lifter or, a preamp that's going to drive that microphone enough to really get that pillowy, broadcast ready sound. So I'm super excited because I'm heavily invested in podcasting and content creating that Shure created the MV7, based on the legendary DNA of the SM7B. So they've brought in a microphone for you to be able to acquire and not have to have, many different accessories in order to get that great quality sound. So it's inspired by a legendary microphone. It is not a replacement for the SM7B, so they'll continue to be carrying the SM7B, but they wanted to offer something at a price point that other content creators could afford. And there's a lot of really cool benefits to this particular microphone, which we're going to talk about, that sort of come all in one box. So when you're unboxing like we just did, there's nothing better than opening new gear, is that this is really your broadcast system all in one box. So it comes with a dual output system. So you can either run it XLR into whatever device you want, whether that's a mixer or an interface or a handheld recorder, as well as using it through USB. So you're going to be able to run it into your phone or your computer. And so you don't need anything external. It also has an internal headphone output, so you can listen in real time. And we're going to show you how you can actually do some controlling of the aspects of this microphone, whether it be the gain or how much of the headphone mix you're receiving. And then they've also added some capacitive touch control to the top of the microphone, which the 7B doesn't have. So you're able to control your volume, your headphone level, mute. You can even lock this microphone out. So if you're going to handle it, that you're not going to accidentally change your settings. So this microphone is going to be way more popular than it already is for a couple different people, specifically podcasters. So podcasters are getting into podcasting and they're looking at what other people are using and they may not know about microphones. So podcasting is exploding right now, and this microphone is my favorite podcasting microphone for those who can't or don't have the budget for the SM7B. And it's a dynamic microphone. It is a different microphone element than the 7B, but as you can hear, you can get a really great present pillowy podcast sound. So definitely recommended for podcasters. The next in the list of people that I think this microphone would be perfect for are gamers and Twitchers and streamers. So a lot of Twitchers, what do you call them, Shawn? Do we know?
I think Twitchers. Yeah, kind of sounds like tweakers,
okay.
But I don't know, Twitchers.
So a lot of gamers have adopted the SM7B, but some of us getting into it for the first time may not have that budget. So this is a great opportunity to have that quality. And we're going to walk you through some of these features that are built into this microphone, but it actually has DSP built into it that's going to allow you to automatically reduce your room noise. And I don't live in a recording studio. Shawn doesn't live in a recording studio. I think Jim might live in that recording studio.
Pretty much, yeah, I do.
Okay, so we don't all have that luxury that Jim has. So having that built into the microphone is going to give you a better sound, a more professional sound, without having to put stuff all over your walls and change your environment. So if you've got a cool gaming setup, you just pop this mic into the mix. It's going to automatically reduce that room sound, which is one of the problems I see the most with podcasters or streamers, is that they get a lot of room noise. They might have the wrong microphone for their environment, and this takes that completely out of the mix. Third, I think that musicians could really benefit from this as far as, recording vocals, doing demos. You could put this microphone on a guitar amp. You could put it on, you could just pop it up in front of a drum set. I mean, it's a dynamic mic, so it's going to be very forgiving for those style of sources. So you could definitely use it in that capacity. So it's really a workhorse and all that. And then finally, work from home. We're all in this situation now where we're working from home, and if you've been on the endless Zoom meetings that we all participate in, having great audio really makes you stand out from the crowd. So if you're making a big pitch to a client, if you're making a presentation to your boss for a raise, do you want to have great audio when you do that? Absolutely. And this is going to allow you to also do that. You'll make an amazing impression on those around you. And we actually got a little shootout here. I want to show you the difference between when you're on a call like this and you're just using your laptop computer microphone. It's going to sound a little bit like this. Shawn?
Oh, that's my cue. Sorry, I missed that one.
I was winding you up for that.
Yeah, sorry, you teed me up and I totally missed it. So obviously I'm talking on the MV7 right now, but I'm going to do a little switch in here. And, in my office, I just finished this office. I got drywall walls with not a lot of treatment on it yet. I haven't gotten there yet. And I've got a tile, so a lot of hard surfaces. So in this room, on the MV7, I actually sound pretty dang good in my opinion. So I am actually going to switch to my MacBook microphone, and all of a sudden you can hear a lot more of the room. It just sounds roomy, and that's one of the things that's super distracting. And I'm not doing anything crazy. Like literally, this is my MacBook Pro that's sitting, 2 feet in front of me, maybe not even that. And that's one of the things. I'm going to switch back to the MV7 here. So you can totally tell how much room noise. You probably didn't hear the fan that's going on my computer, because my computer doesn't like doing streaming for some reason. But, I'm in a lot of Zoom meetings. I do a lot of trainings with Full Compass sales staff and stuff. And it drives me nuts when I'm on a call or on a meeting and people don't have good audio, because you're just hearing echo. I've had people call in from bars before, and you hear all this noise going on in the background, and it's just it's just crazy how much good audio can affect, even without video. I mean, if you have bad audio, it makes such a big impression, I guess I should say.
Huge difference. There's a huge difference.
You closer. It makes you feel closer to that person. Just you switching that, Shawn,
Yeah, I'm not.
You don't have any closeness lately, but
yeah, exactly.
At least get it in the sound, right?
Yeah, totally.
So those are 4 different completely applications that could all be one person. I'm a podcaster. I'm a musician. I work from home, and I don't Twitch yet, but I'm not ruling anything out at this point. But I would have all the things that I needed in this one package, and I don't need any external accessories or hardware. I can plug it in anywhere. With the dual XLR, you've also got a really cool functionality that most people aren't thinking of, is I can go through my computer for USB, record a podcast with my guest, and I can also run XLR out and record it locally. So in case I get that nasty audio drift when my bandwidth goes down, I've got a completely clean signal coming directly out of the mic as a backup, which is a really great function. So what I really want to illustrate here is that Shure just didn't put out another USB mic for everybody to use. They actually innovated USB mics by adding all this functionality into it. So instead of just putting out another mic that's inspired by the SM7B, they really put a lot of thought into the functionality and the accessories built within the microphone to make the coolest podcast mic that sounds amazing out of the box. So why don't we jump into the software, because there's free software that comes with this microphone. And if you haven't used any of the other Shure Motive mics, you might not be aware of this, but there's actually some other apps that we'll show you that are free to download and free to use without plugging anything into them. And we're going to share some of our favorite content creator tools with you at the end of this presentation. But let's jump into the software and show you how you can use both. You can get full control through manual mode, or you can let the microphone use its internal DSP to help you sound great without having to have an audio degree from Columbia. Or maybe you're just getting into all this stuff and audio freaks you out. You can do some really cool stuff with this microphone without having to learn any of that.
You know, before I jump into the software, I did want to mention, Travis, mentioned the legacy of the SM7B, and that if you've ever used one, it's a quality microphone. It's heavy, it feels really nice, and Shure didn't cheap out on the MV7, even though it's a really affordable price point. It's not. It adheres to all of the Shure quality standards. So if you've ever seen what Shure has done from torture testing of microphones, this goes back to like the World War II era when they started actually making microphones and stuff for the U.S. military. They started having to adhere to military specs, and that is something that's stuck and stayed throughout the rest of modern history. So all the products have to maintain drop tests. They do humidity testing, heat testing, temperature swings, all of these things to put these microphones through rigorous testing. So whether it's a $50 handheld BG microphone up to a $3,000 ribbon microphone, they all do go through those same standards. So when you get this mic, it's not some of the USB microphones on the market today are they're plastic, they're cheap, they may sound good, but you don't get that like pro quality feel, and that's one of the things I really like on the MV7. So
absolutely.
But, yeah.
And I got to say, literally an hour before this webinar, I opened it up, and a couple of things that popped into my head as soon as I opened it up. First thing, the packaging is great stuff comes with it. Secondly, I picked up the mic and I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing has some weight to it. This is a beefy mic. This is built to last. It really does. A lot of times you'll pick up a mic, a USB mic, and there's not much to it. But this is Shure quality through and through. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let me show you the software here. Hopefully this will pop up. Can we see that as an overlay? Yep. Not the easiest thing over my other backdrop, but so we've got the Shure Motive, Shure Plus Motive app that is available. This is something that's available for Mac or PC. But it's also available for Android and iOS devices. So what this app is for is to control the software for the microphone. So it gives you a couple different ways to do it. So right now we're on manual mode. Manual mode gives me the ability to, first off, I can actually name the mics. So we're going to say Shawn MV7. So what's cool about that is this software can actually control two different microphones at the same time. So if you're doing a podcast and you got two mics in the room, you can quickly name those of who the participant is. And that way, if you're making adjustments, you know exactly whose mic you are adjusting, which is really cool. It is just a temporary name thing when it's plugged in with the software, but it makes easy for producing that podcast. So in manual mode, you've got a couple different things. You've got presets. So I can actually save my own presets after I set up my microphone, how I like it, and I can save that. So this is something that's saved in the software. So if I am plugging in a mic, I move my podcast to a different room, I can plug in, just hit recall my preset, and Bob's your uncle, I'm back running with all my settings. So that's pretty cool. I've got the ability to mute the microphone while talking, so that's something that we can do, in the microphone. I've got a gain adjustment, so I can turn things up and turn things down. So we've got that capability in here. Below here is where we've got monitor mix, and monitor mix is actually something that's kind of unique. So on the back of these microphones, there's actually a headphone output. So I can monitor. Right now I'm actually listening to the feed through my Aonic 50 headphones coming off the back of the Shure microphone here. And in this monitor mix, I've actually got the ability to tailor what I'm hearing out of the headphones and mix. I can listen directly 100% off the microphone of what is going on, which gives you real-time monitoring. It's not processed. It doesn't need to go through the computer and then come back, which is kind of one of the hardest things with latency or monitoring through USB devices is the latency. Really hard to sing when it comes back to you after a couple of milliseconds. So I can listen directly to 100% what's on the microphone. I can also listen to 100% what is coming back from the computer if I don't want to hear myself in the microphone. But way I like it is I actually run it in the middle. So I can hear the far end coming back through my computer, but I can also hear my microphone as just a little bit of confidence knowing that I am actually on air and talking. So that's pretty cool.
You can blend it in between those as well. So it's not
correct
to those 3 points. Yep. You can decide.
I want to do 3/4 more of my mic, which is really awesome. So it is truly tailored to each person. You do also have an EQ. So right now I am in flat mode. So the flat mode is no processing of the EQ. I've got a high pass filter, which is going to give me a little bit of that low end roll off. So if you've got a super deep voice, or if you're attached to a table and you're using like a table stand, it can eliminate some of the rumbling and stuff that's going on in the microphone. I've got a presence boost, which gives me a little bit of more presence in that speech range, a little bit more articulation. So if I was recording something that was speech only, maybe like a podcast, or maybe I was reading a book, Audible or something like that, I'd maybe do that speech presence boost, kind of make it a little, stick out a little bit more in the mix. And then you've got a combination, which gives me the high pass and the presence boost all at the same time. So I really like the flat sound for most of like the podcasting. It kind of gives you that a little bit of a more radio announcer sound, I guess I would say. So we also do have a limiter on here. This is Travis's favorite tool. I keep on talking about this with him. He does a lot of mixing on the side, and he can't get enough of limiters. But this allows you to kind of keep your microphone in check by having a hard limiter on there. And then we also do have a compressor. So the compressor has actually got 3 different settings. Well, technically 4. So off right now is going to be no compressor on there. And I've got a light and a medium, and then also a heavy compression. I really like that heavy compression, kind of gives you that pillowy sound, that really podcaster. We've always wanted to be Howard Stern or something like that. You've got that deep kind of presence with that compressor. So Travis calls it the pillow. He's got a preset in his mic, the pillow. So,
I do, and I love the manual mode because they actually save you quite a bit of time. So in post, if I'm recording a podcast, I'm going to use a high pass filter. I'm going to make a presence notch. And so they kind of save time if you're actually recording to something like Logic or Pro Tools or Audacity. And, you're able to kind of save that processing time, save a couple plugins in your mix. And then, but by not having too many knobs on the compressor, you don't have to really worry about setting attack and release and those things. It's kind of like having an easy button on your microphone.
And so a little bit about the processing there, guys, because our audience is widely varied, from some complete experts down to novice.
Yeah.
Can you give a quick definition or explanation of what a limiter does and what a compressor does for the voice or for sound?
Yeah, so the limiter is going to ensure that you don't get into that nasty digital distortion range when the microphone is too loud. You're actually just setting a limit to how high the audio can go out of and broadcast at. So it's sort of like having a safety net, but a limiter doesn't compress anything. Compressor is going to this particular compressor is going to ensure that the dynamics in your voice are leveled out. So when you get loud and animated, or if you get softer and more intimate, that you're getting a consistent level throughout. And obviously the light, medium, and heavy have different artifacts to them that will give you a specific sound, like that heavy, pillowy broadcast sound, as opposed to, less compression in that light setting. So it's really a matter of your taste and how it makes you sound, but it's all about creating a consistent level, and then that doesn't go into that nasty digital distortion range. Does that sum it up pretty good?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Except for pillowing. I'm not quite sure what pillowy sound means, but
Pillowy, that's
That
soft, that,
thick, fat broadcast, radio
yes,
sound.
there we go.
you know,
Pillowy.
it's kind of like, when you watch the, the telenovela or the soap opera and they pan to the female star and the lens is, has the Vaseline on it. It's
The
that
blur lens,
fuzzy.
yes.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
extra.
That's the audio version is pillowy. Um, and that's kind of one of the things, we do a lot of demos with like digital consoles and stuff like that. And there's all these like graphs and showing how things are working nowadays. And everyone's into the UCI of what's going on and looking at everything. But that's one thing I tell everyone with any demo is listen with your ears. We're talking about audio, like maybe I like the heavy setting just because I like how that sounds, but that doesn't mean it's right or wrong. Maybe it works for my voice, maybe it doesn't work for Travis's voice. It's one of those things that you really just need to listen to and use your ears, use the tools that God gave you, versus being worried about like what's the particular setting, things like that. So
Everyone's voice is different and will behave different, and everyone's ears hear things differently. What I love about the manual mode is that they've downsized your options so you can focus on creating content, not tweaking knobs. So you're going to
yep.
get there faster, and that's going to make you more productive when you're making things.
So Travis mentioned, saving time by using the presets in the microphone. And that's something that's really cool. We can go out directly USB into Logic or whatever. I've got that post-edited sound. But like we mentioned before, we do have the XLR output. And the XLR output could be going to another channel in Logic or an external recorder or whatever. But the cool thing about that is that's just the raw signal. So none of the DSP is actually coming out. That's only on the USB portion of the microphone. So if you did screw something up, it's great because you've got this raw unprocessed audio on the the XLR, which makes it super versatile, if depending on how you're recording or what you're doing,
which so is what I'm doing today. I wanted to be different.
The raw out. Yep.
So I'm just raw XLR out, just using it as
Excellent.
a mic.
So
you can hear the difference.
If audio settings scare you, which I get, especially if you're new to audio and just getting in, we have what is called the auto level settings. So this is kind of like the easy button for your microphone. So you'll notice that my audio changed a little bit when I went over to the auto level settings. So again, I've got presets that I can save of my own presets after I get things tweaked. I've got my mic mute, I've got my monitor mix, but I've got a mic position button on here, near and far. So right now I'm on the near setting, and generally just a kind of an etiquette of microphone use. About 3 fingers away from the microphone is optimal position for that. But so Jim's a little bit farther away. He wanted to have his microphone farther away. So we can put this into farther mode, and I can get backed up from the microphone and have my settings be a little bit different based on being further away from the microphone. Some of the things, being closer to the microphone, you get a little bit more of what's called that proximity effect, that radio announcer voice. But sometimes you don't want the microphone in the shot. You want to be farther away, and that's great. That's what that kind of far setting's for. I like going to the near setting. I like being a little bit more on the microphone, especially because we're talking about the microphone, so it's always good to have it in the shot. So you've got that near and far option on there. And then you've also got a tone option. So this is kind of cool. You've got dark, which is kind of like that, broadcaster voice. You've got a natural, which is going to be more of a natural tone. And then I've got a bright, which gives me that kind of that presence peak. And in the background, what this is doing is it's actually adjusting the compressor settings for you. It's adjusting the EQ for you. It's kind of doing everything for you, which is really awesome if you're getting into audio or podcasting and you've never done it before. It's the easy button,
Super
on there.
fast, easy, quick. It's, no brainer. That's great.
And you can hear things happening in real time, which I also think is really cool. It's not like you have to restart an app or do something like that. So you've got the ability to kind of change that. And then you can also, up in the corner, you can actually lock out the software. And what Travis mentioned before, this also locks out the touch buttons on the unit. So if you're grabbing the mic and positioning it around, you're not accidentally changing your volume or your blend or anything like that. So that's a pretty cool feature on that unit. And again, this software, as Travis likes to say, is how much, Travis?
It's free 99.
It's free 99.
Free
So
99.
Best price.
it's the best price ever. So
Yes.
that's the software that comes with it. The interface is very similar, whether it's on an iOS device or on your computer. So this gives you the ability to plug directly into like an iPad or something like that to do mobile recording on the road. Maybe I'm traveling to someplace to interview somebody. You've got that capability in your pocket, or well, maybe not an iPad in your pocket, but in your briefcase. So.
Free and easy to download.
Free and easy to download.
You just go to Shure, download it from Shure.
Yep,
Yes.
just from the MV7 page, there's a software tab. The iOS and Android versions are in the Apple Store and Google Play Store for your downloading pleasure, and both of those are free also. So
You keep kicking into that radio voice.
radio
Shawn,
voice.
yes.
Hey everyone.
Yeah.
Hey now. So. Yeah, that's kind of it in the nutshell for the MV7. But we also wanted to kind of go through and show a couple different things that we find as content creators our favorite content creation tools. So Travis kind of put together a list of some of the things that he really likes for content creation, and we just kind of wanted to run through those. But before we did that, I guess was there any questions there, Jim, that have come through?
Yeah, there is a question on the processing, and I'll just shoot it out to you. This is from Bert. It says, "Is the noise reduction bypassable?" And I think he's referring back to the beginning when you first started explaining it and show the difference between your laptop and this mic. But I think you answered that all in the processing there.
Yeah, there's not really a noise reduction, button or setting on here. It's kind of all baked in. But part of what you're hearing also is from the design of the capsule. And being a dynamic, it's going to pick up the room very differently. If you wanted an unprocessed sound, I guess I would say I would use the XLR output. But in the flat settings with no compressor, no limiter, or the natural setting, I guess I would say in the DSP, that's going to be probably the most unprocessed from the USB standpoint.
Got another question popped in here from Tony. He says, you said 3 fingers is the proper length for near. What is the far range? What's the ideal range there? A foot?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, Travis, you wanna handle that one?
Yeah, I think it depends on your room. So the farther you get away from the microphone, there's going to be more room noise that inevitably enters. So you have to find a happy medium. I haven't done any testing, but I would be willing to bet that you could probably get about 1.5 feet in the right environment. Like, I'm not in the mode right now, but we'll have to test that and get back to you, Tony. There's no documentation right now on exactly how far. It's really more a functionality so you can decide where you want the microphone, or if you're just not comfortable being in front of the microphone, some people aren't, or if you want it out of the shot, experimenting with that, seeing how far you can really get.
And I
Another
believe,
question.
those near far settings are kind of, it's basically adjusting the gain. Just like with any microphone, the further away from you, the more of the environment that it's going to pick up versus me being right on the microphone. It's going to pick up less of that environment.
Yeah. So brings us to the next question from John. And this says, can the high pass frequency be set to reduce pops? He says, I noticed Shawn is popping a bit. And I think that's how a lot of it has to do with your speech, how you talk normally, whether you're
Yep.
talking directly into it, and the P's, is there a way to reduce the popping noise? I guess is the overall question.
Yeah, so the first thing that will reduce the plosives or the sound is going to be where you're speaking into the mic from. So something I do want to mention is that the 7B, the capsule is quite a bit farther back than it is in the MV7. So people are typically used to, and Shawn's probably guilty of this as I am, is
Yep.
we both use these mics in our daily lives, and you can get pretty close to it without popping too much. This MV7, the capsule is way closer to the front of the windscreen, and so the closer you get to it, you're going to get more plosive. So it really comes down to how you speak. Are you going to sit on axis, off axis, how close you're getting to it? The high pass filter will help some with that, but it's also really in your hands as far as microphone etiquette goes.
That's pretty deceiving when you look at that, Shawn. You pulled it off under the hood. Could you do that again? It almost looks like a 57. That's the size of a 57 under there.
Yeah, it's kind of a similar looking grill. I don't want to unscrew the grill and make all my make noise, but yeah. So it's got kind of a double, foam windscreen and then a traditional hard windscreen. And I did have the microphone more into it, and yes, I'm gonna directly talking into it. I am gonna get the that more plosive sound of the Peter Piper pickled peppers.
Nice.
But a lot of people will talk off axis, so therefore, I can say my P's, I can get a little bit more plosive, and it's gonna not be as affected because you're not pushing that air directly into the microphone.
Right. And we did have another question here, but I think you answered it already, but I'm just going to point it out again that the processing that's built into the mic only goes through the USB signal, not through the XLR.
Correct.
That's correct.
So you can use that to your advantage. Absolutely.
Yeah, so the XLR, typically that's going to be going into a recorder. It could be going into, a recording console or, whatever. And on there, you're typically going to have the tools for EQ, compression, things like that. So that's why they're giving you that unprocessed raw signal out on the XLR.
I love the redundancy because, when you're doing a podcast, you have no control how that's coming across and where your signal is going. If the bandwidth suddenly shrinks and you start getting dropouts, this way you've got a direct redundant recording of it and that you could post that's perfectly clean. That's great.
Yeah,
I've got mine. Oh, go ahead, Travis.
I was going to say there's two things, when you're doing a Zoom call or a video interview on your podcast, when you're using video, that's going to eat up a lot of the bandwidth. And that's something that definitely causes that audio drift where the voice gets compressed and sounds strange. So having that backup is absolutely key when you're doing things like that.
Yeah, I've got mine hooked up. It's a little hard to see, but you can see I've got my USB and my XLR going out. So I've actually got my USB going, obviously, into my MacBook here. But then I also have my XLR going into my sound devices MixPre that I'm using for capturing, but I'm also using that as a USB. Well, I can use that as a USB interface, but I also have the analog out going into my little Blackmagic switcher that I've got here. So I can switch that on the fly. Now I just switched to my XLR output. I'm using the EQ in my Blackmagic. I don't have quite as many settings, but it is really cool that it's all happening simultaneously. So I can quickly switch around. So now, I'm back on the USB audio with the MV7. So you've got.
And one more thing about having those dual outputs are that you may start off as a solo podcaster. You may just be like, I'm going to start my own podcast and I'm going to use this mic alone. You may get a co-host. You may be invited to go somewhere to do a podcast. You can simply bring your mic and plug into any mixer that they may have. You can use multiple USB mics. It does require a little bit of finagling on your computer, but this gives you the ability to sort of scale and grow. Maybe you want to get another MV7 and have a co-host. You can go into a mixer, or it really gives you a chance to use this microphone and grow with it into whatever content you're creating.
Yeah. So we had a lot of good questions up to this point. So that's pretty. So there are no more questions going at this point. So Shawn, what did you have next there? What were you gonna?
So we just had
tools.
kind of some other content creation tools, since we're talking about microphones and content creation. There's a lot of things that these were some of the ones that Travis kind of picked out, and I'll let him talk about it because he's Mr. Podcast. So one of the things that we have here is also free 99. We kind of talked about this, but there's some other apps that Shure makes for the Motive products.
I love this screenshot because it's just completely maxed out into the red. You don't want your audio to look like that. Just so you guys know, that's where the limiter will help you. So these two apps are actually absolutely my favorite things for sort of the beginning of content creation. So both of these apps are free and they can be used without plugging anything into them. Obviously, they complement the Shure microphones very well, but I use that Shure Motive Plus app to record demos, or as I like to call them, scats, where I just skibbity boop bop. I got the melody, but I don't have the words, and I can document it real quickly. And the app actually allows you to record an uncompressed 24/48 audio and then share it in a bunch of different ways. I can text it to somebody, I can put it in Dropbox, right, all from the app. So even if you don't have a microphone yet and you're documenting things or you're creating ideas, it's a really great app to have on your phone. Now, once you plug a Shure Motive microphone into it, it unlocks all of these settings where you can do similar things that we did to the MV7 to their other microphones, like selecting a stereo width, adjusting gain, putting on compression, things like that. So really cool app for audio. And then the Video Plus app, even cooler because you're able to record up to 4K video on your phone. So it's like having a free video app, and a lot of these video apps that record 4K are like $40 to $50. This is free, allows you to record up to 4K depending on your phone's ability. And you got a video camera basically on your phone. And then once you plug a Shure Motive microphone into it, you're going to be able to capture great audio, not the audio from your phone, but you can still use it without the microphone. So I love that for just creating ideas, podcasts, videos. We do a lot of video content, me and Shawn at AudioBiz. We have a show called What the Tech with Redbeard and Cue Ball. And we use a lot of these tools for planning, sharing, documenting, all kinds of things like that. So those are two free apps that you absolutely should have as a content creator.
The Shure Video app it's truly a portable video podcast solution, because you can record the video, you can get all the settings for your Shure Motive microphone within that app, and then download it to your favorite editing software, or especially if you're doing it on a mobile device, you can go like directly into iMovie, make some cuts and publish, all from a mobile device. So really good if you are somebody that's on the go a lot, if you're a musician, touring, not a whole lot of that going on right now, but
none of us like to carry around that big bag with the DSLR and it really makes it easy to document things without having to be the guy that's got the big camera.
Exactly. So
Redbeard and Cue Ball. I'm still stuck on
Redbeard and Cue Ball. Yeah.
Right. So the next one is actually the Shure Digital Recording Kit. So I've recommended this for podcasters. I'm heavily invested in podcasting and helping podcasters find their voice, grow their audience, start their own podcast movement. And a lot of what I see is the wrong microphone selection from podcasters. They see other people using a microphone, they go buy that microphone, might not be right for their environment. So I highly recommend dynamic microphones for podcasting because you really can't go wrong. Condenser mics are going to pick up more, they're going to be more sensitive, but the dynamic microphone is great because it's going to minimize the, external noise and things like that. So this comes with a PGA 58A microphone, which is the little brother to the SM58, the microphone we all know and love, and it sounds amazing. It comes with an interface that allows you to plug it into your computer or phone, and then they have 5 DSP settings. So you can do voice, speech, singing, speech, music, band, and flat. So you're able to get sort of that head start on sounding great right from that little MVI interface. It's actually a dual input, so you can do XLR or quarter inch. So if you're like a guitar player or bass player or somebody who's plugging something into, say, a virtual amplifier, you've got that right there for you. Of course, they give you headphones because you should be wearing headphones like we all are on this call, so we don't get that dreaded echo effect and we can monitor ourselves. And then you get both cables for lightning to plug into your iOS device or your computer. So it's an all-in-one recording kit. This is great for podcasters, musicians. You can just make so much great content with this specific kit all right out of the box.
Portable recording.
Next up is the Tascam DRO5X. So this is a stereo handheld recorder, and this thing is amazing. You can use it in so many different ways, whether you're going in the field to record audio, interviewing somebody in the field. You can also plug it in as an interface in your computer and use it for your podcast or work from home call or documenting your next hit single. It's just so much packed into this guy. It's got an SD card that allow you to record for hours, a great battery life, and it's really, it's no bigger than about a phone. So to slip it into your pocket and have that ready to go at all times is amazing. I actually at one point met Joe Rogan, our favorite podcaster in the world, and I was in line to meet him. And as I got closer to meet him, I realized, what am I even going to say to this guy? So I decided as an audio guy to take out my handheld recorder, and I actually recorded the interaction, had him say hi to my wife, and I got this amazing, basically a memento from that wasn't weird, just by being an audio guy and having a handheld recorder with me. So there's lots of ways that this comes in handy, documenting events and things like that. And it's a great piece for anybody who's looking to get into any type of content creation, including recording audio for video.
Another type of recording option is a lot of times when you're doing video podcasts or video shoots, having a bunch of audio and cable running around is kind of annoying sometimes. So Tascam, this is kind of another one that Tascam has it's really kind of cool, that we always recommend as like a backup microphone. So maybe I'm using a regular microphone like this that's going into a recorder, but this little DR10L is actually a little tiny, about the size of a lav pack, and it's a recorder, so you can kind of archive things and keep when you're doing like interviews and things like that, always recorded. So that's kind of another cool tool.
This is a great piece for you're recording with a shotgun mic on your camera, but you definitely want to have a microphone on your subject to get that up close audio. And I'm a big proponent of, anytime I get to interview anybody that's an interview I don't want to miss, is I am going to double mic, because audio recorders run out of batteries and interference and microphones. That's why the redundancy, and something that you've probably heard over and over on this video call, is it's important to have the option to have that backup. So you don't want to lose. There's nothing worse than losing a great recording. So this piece is affordable, it's portable, you don't have to have a receiver and all the things that go with a wireless system. You don't have to plug it in anywhere. You can just go shoot and capture that audio.
Yeah. So it looks like Jim said, we're running out of time here. So I guess
we got another question popped in here from Tony. Tony, what did he say? Sorry about this. All right, it says this is really sounding like a fantastic piece of equipment, well built and well designed. In your opinions, are there any misses or negatives? And then also a price point.
Yeah, so I have almost every single podcasting mic out there. I've tested them all. I do use the SM7B because I have one and I have the equipment to run it, but I don't think they missed the mark in any way. There's nothing lacking in this microphone. It sounds great. It rivals the 7B. And when I do an A/B test, the average person isn't probably going to be really able to pick that out. All the functionality they built into it, the redundancy. I mean, I think this is a 5-star option. And again, if you missed earlier on, Shure did not just put out another USB mic. They innovated a USB mic for content creators. So instead of just saying, here's another one for your repertoire, they actually really thought about this, took market feedback, what do people need and want, and they baked it all into this one microphone. This microphone comes in at $249. And for that value of not having to get an interface or a cloud lifter and all these things, it's an immense value for what you can do with it. And then of course you've got that built-in DSP that's going to automatically make you sound great and save you time. Now, time is money. We all know that. If you're creating content, and I can tell you this personally because I create podcasts and videos, and there's nothing better than pulling in an audio track that already sounds good into a video or into my podcast editing suite, and I'm just saving the time of having to continually reprocess audio. So I think
Absolutely.
all those things together make this thing a slam dunk.
I would agree.
So many times I wish I would have had a redundant audio.
Yeah. My again, like Travis said, I haven't really found many complaints about the microphone. I think the only thing that I can maybe complain about is sometimes I don't want the Shure logo in my shot, depending on what I'm doing. But like that's a minor gripe, I guess I would say. But other than that, I mean, it's again, it's really easy to use. When I first got my sample and I actually set it up and had my kids play around with it to see what the youth of America can do. Because they've seen my SM7B in my office here, and my son's always like, oh, I'd love to buy one of those for, they're into doing Twitch and all those fun things and talking with people. But then I tell them the price point of an SM7B, and they're like, yeah, I can't afford that, Dad. So they were really actually kind of jazzed when the MV7 came out, because it is something that more people can afford with less other things that go along with a USB interface and stands and things like
and
that.
And it looks very similar. And I tell you, some people may laugh at me, but podcasters, gamers, they want to look cool. They want to look professional. And this absolutely does. I mean, it looks like the SM7B to an untrained eye.
It does.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We'll do the side-by-side comparison,
I mean, look at that. That's
SM7's a little bit longer, like we said, but it's very similar look and performance,
Yeah. And it gives you more real estate in your video. If you got this hanging up here, you're losing a little bit of real estate in your background.
Yeah.
Boy, you guys both have an SM7. I don't have one here.
It's kind of funny. I've been doing audio for years and years, and I never actually owned an SM7 until this wonderful COVID pandemic hit. And I'm like, I need an SM7. And it was also the same time when everyone in the world was like, I need an SM7 for my video calls. So I had to wait a long time for mine, but I finally have one and I'm not letting it go.
Yeah. So, I got to say, whatever your choice between the two, if you can afford the SM7, absolutely. We have hundreds of those in stock, hundreds.
You do, yeah.
And same goes for the MV7. We have lots and lots of those in stock. So
I forgot to mention too, you see the mic on here. We all have the black sleek color, but Shure does also offer this microphone in silver. So if you're wanting a little bit of
look
bling,
even cooler.
Yep, exactly. A little bit of bling for your shot, a little bit more flashy. You do have another color option also than just the normal black option. So got to throw that one out there.
Very cool. Well, I think that's it, guys. We've got a couple of comments here. It says great presentation. Thanking you so much. It is a great absolutely a great product. I love it. I just unboxed it this morning. It was easy to set up, super easy. So, I mean, no worries on that end of it. It's if you're worried about, the other thing, real quick, I included a handout, the user guide, so people can
Yes.
grab the user guide from this presentation as well. So I think we are going to wrap it up, you guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to cue the buffer music, and we will see you guys on the flip side of another webinar. Thanks, Travis and Shawn.
Thanks, Jim.
Take care.
Thanks a lot, Jim.
Thanks, everybody, for joining. We'll see you next time.